What truly happens in those final moments before death? What does a dying person see? What do their last words really mean? And why do some people leave this world with a peaceful smile while others depart in terror? Scientists have spent years studying near-death experiences, but long before modern research, Islam revealed these truths over 1400 years ago. Now, imagine this. You are lying on your deathbed. Your body feels weaker than ever before. Every breath is a struggle. The room around you starts to blur. The voices of loved ones fade into a distant echo. And then, something shifts. Suddenly, you begin to see what no one else in the room can. A reality hidden from human eyes all your life is now unveiling itself before you. The transition from this world to the next is not the same for everyone. It is entirely different for the believer and the disbeliever. For some, it is a moment of peace, where angels descend with light and warmth. But for others, it is a horrifying experience that fills them with regret and unbearable fear. As the soul begins to separate from the body, the unseen world becomes visible. Some people on their deathbeds describe seeing figures of light, hearing soft voices calling to them, or feeling a sense of comfort washing over them. Others, however, react with terror, eyes wide with fear, gasping, struggling, as if being dragged into the unknown. The room remains the same for those watching. But for the one passing away, the reality of the hereafter has already begun. For a righteous believer, this moment is beautiful beyond description. Angels with radiant, glowing faces descend from the heavens, their presence filling the room. They come with garments and fragrances from paradise, carrying the promise of eternal peace. They do not just stand at a distance, they surround the dying person, as far as the eye can see, comforting them in ways no human words can express. Then comes the angel of death. Unlike the terrifying images that many imagine, for the believer, this angel does not come with harshness, but with gentleness. He addresses the soul with words of peace, calling it to leave the body. And when the moment arrives, the soul departs effortlessly, as smoothly as a drop of water flowing from the tip of a jug. There is no pain, no struggle, only relief, like a long-awaited return home. The soul is then wrapped in the fragrance of paradise and taken upwards, passing through the heavens. As it ascends, angels welcome it with joy, calling it by the best of names. The gates of heaven open, and the soul is embraced with honor. It is shown its place in paradise, and at that moment, all worldly attachments fade. The person who once feared death now longs for what is to come. But for the disbeliever, or the one who lived a life of heedlessness, the experience is terrifying beyond imagination. The angels that descend are not beings of comfort, but of warning. Their faces are dark and frightening, their presence bringing an overwhelming sense of dread. The angel of death arrives, but this time not with kindness. Instead of gently calling the soul, he forcefully rips it from the body. The pain is beyond anything experienced in this world, like a thorny branch being pulled through wet wool, tearing everything in its path. The soul resists, knowing what awaits, but there is no escape. The angels wrap it in a rough and foul-smelling shroud, and as it is taken upwards, the gates of heaven remain closed. The angels reject it, calling it by the worst of names. And then the soul is thrown back to the earth in disgrace, a terrifying prelude to what is to come. At the moment of death, every soul is shown its place in the hereafter. The righteous will see a glimpse of heaven, and their hearts will fill with longing. They will know that eternal peace awaits them. But those who rejected the truth will see the hellfire, a terrifying reality they can no longer deny. Their hearts will be filled with fear and regret. But by then, it will be too late. Many wonder about the last words of the dying. Some people, who never spoke of religion in their life, suddenly say things that shock those around them. A man who spent his life in disbelief suddenly cries out before death, "Take me away from the fire, it's burning me." while another, who devoted himself to Allah, peacefully whispers, La ilaha illallah, and passes away with a smile. A person's last words often reveal what is truly in their heart. If someone lived their life forgetting Allah, how can they expect to remember Him in their final moments? There are stories of people who, instead of uttering words of faith, screamed about their wealth, their regrets, or even remained silent, unable to say anything beneficial. A well-known scholar, in his final breaths, was asked to say, La ilaha illallah. He replied, Not yet, not yet, and passed away before he could say it. His heart had been attached to his writings, not to Allah. The transition from this world to the next is something we will all face. No one can escape it. The rich and the poor, the powerful and the weak, the believer and the disbeliever, all will experience death. But how we prepare for it will determine what happens when that moment arrives. The righteous will be at peace, welcomed by angels and given glad tidings of heaven. The sinful will face regret, wishing for another chance, but that chance will never come. Allah tells us in the Quran, when death comes to one of them, he cries, My Lord, send me back so that I may do good in that which I left behind. But no. It is only a word he utters, and behind them is a barrier until the day they are resurrected. Surah Al-Mu'minun 99-100. The moment of death is the moment of truth. There is no more deception, no more lies, no more excuses. What you did in this life is all that will remain. Hospice workers and doctors have reported seeing this reality firsthand. Many have witnessed people passing away with smiles, their faces glowing with peace. Others have seen patients screaming, their faces twisted in fear, as if seeing something horrifying in their final moments. A well-known doctor who spent years working in palliative care once said, I have seen people's faces transform completely, some glowing with tranquility, others contorted with horror. None of us know when our final moment will come. It could be today, tomorrow, or years from now. But the question is not when, it's how. Will your last words be of faith or regret? Will you meet the angels of mercy or the angels of punishment? The time to prepare is now. No wealth, no status, no achievements will matter when your soul is leaving your body. The only thing that will remain is your deeds. Think about your life right now. Are you living in a way that, if death came to you today, you would be ready? Are you investing your time in what truly matters? Every single breath you take is bringing you closer to that final moment. One day, you will be the person on that deathbed. One day, your last words will be spoken. And when that time comes, may it be with peace, faith, and hope in Allah's mercy. If this message touched you, do not let it stop here. Share it with others. Remind them of the reality of death, so that when their time comes, they too may be prepared. May Allah guide us all to a good ending, and may we live our lives in a way that leads to His mercy and forgiveness. Ameen.